Hey, what's up, guys? So, I haven't had a chance to catch up to X and Y, but I think every Pokemon fan, anyone who's really been watching the anime or even been aware of the anime's existence, has to easily admit that there was no way you could avoid not knowing about the league when we were in the league, considering the dick ride it's starting was in the league. So, obviously, we got to the final battle of the Kalos region. Ash versus Alain, which is not, I can't really comment on the setup towards that battle, and I'm not really gonna, this video isn't really about the whole league as a whole, because I don't have the right to really talk about the league until I watch the entire league, and I haven't watched the entire league yet. So So I don't want to talk about that, but I do want to talk about the result of that league. So if you don't want me to talk about that, you don't want to hear anything about the league, then you can go ahead. But I want to talk about the fact that Ash loses the league. Now I've only seen them. I've seen the only matches I've seen is Ash versus Shota and Ash versus Alain. And I've only seen parts of Ash versus Alain. And the reason why is because, as I said, I wanted to kind of watch the league as a whole, to judge the league as a whole. But I do want to talk about Ash losing. For those who've been watching the anime since it started, or at least within the last 3 or 4 generations, you would know that this is, if just looking at the way he lost in this league, has probably been the most respect they've given Ash since probably Gen 2. Gen 3 is kind of okay. Gen 4 was bullshit, and Gen 5 was bullshit in terms of the leagues. For those who don't remember what Gen 4 and Gen 5's league matches were, Ash got top 8 in Unova and got top 4 in Sinnoh, and I think he got top 8 in Hoenn. Hoenn's is probably the most. Hoenn is when he lost against. I'm trying to remember, because he lost against the Blaziken and Johto, which was an okay loss. And Hoenn, I believe he loses. Oh, he loses against Tyson in Hoenn, the guy with the Meowth. It's not the best loss, but it's a loss that I'm kind of like, I can deal with it. Unova was complete bullshit. They gave you that really ridiculous fight with Paul, only for him to get completely curb stomped by a dude who literally only used like 2 Pokemon. I think in the entire match he uses a Darkrai that pretty much lays out almost his entire team, and then he kills you with a Latios. And I'm like, wow. And this is what they always do this shit where, like, if he gets too good of a team, then you have to curb stomp the shit out of him, which is what they did to him in Sinnoh. They had this dude come out with nowhere with a fucking Darkrai and a Latios, 2 legendaries, and curb stomp the shit out of him. And I was just like, almost every Pokemon fan who was watching Sinnoh looked at the league and went, wow, that was fucking mean. That was uncalled for. Because it was like, well, we can't let him win, but his team is too legit for us to have him have like a real fair fight, especially with another rival character that they haven't really built up. Granted, X and Y hasn't done any fucking better. Shota has only been built up as like a pseudo rival in the sense that he's not really stronger than Ash. From what I know of, Shota's only won like 1 fight against him, and it was during Ash's down arc, and Ash has curb stomped him literally every other time. Well, that's not an interesting rival. And then Alain, I think they just recently met in the canon. Like, I know Alain's been around for a while, but I know Alain also hasn't really fought Ash too many times. I think Alain, this will be that was technically his 2nd or 3rd time fighting Ash, I believe. But like I said, X and Y, this has probably been one of the nicer ways they've done Ash, because we're not even going to talk about Unova. Unova's was just insulting because Kotetsu's fight with him was stupid, primarily because they had Kotetsu pull an Ash to beat Ash, and Kotetsu was fighting with a disadvantage. It's almost having a fake Ash beat Ash as an insult to Ash. I hate Unova's ending purely for that reason, because they literally pulled an Ash with the rival they introduced so fucking late game, and you're just like, dude, that was so uncalled for. So this has been like this has probably been the most amount of respect he's gotten in the league, and as of right now, if I had to sit down and say, this is probably the best representation he's gotten in the league. The next best representation probably being the Johto League, and maybe the 3rd best being like Sinnoh. almost every league he gets disrespected in some stupid way. First league makes sense because he wasn't really ready. The second league was beautiful. Third league was tolerable. The fourth league was just dirty. It was so fucking dirty. And the only reason why I put the fourth league over the third league in terms of importance or in terms of respect is because at least in the fourth league, he had a good rivalry with Paul to kind of make up for the curb stomp. Whereas in third gen, he didn't even have really a good rival. He didn't. It was kind of like Unova. Well, not Unova. It's kind of like, honestly, kind of like X and Y, where he didn't get his rivals till late game, even though in Hoenn, he got his rivals insanely late game. Like, almost right as the league was starting, he got his rivals. It was stupid. And you got all these people who don't even watch Pokemon all of a sudden reacting and shit. Like, oh, we gotta go watch the new episodes of X and Y because of the league with Alain and shit. And I'm just like, bruh. And then people are so salty about this loss. And I'm like, look, I've been watching this series since I was in the 90s. I'm aware that the Pokemon Company is not going to change the game to this. Like, so it's like, part of me, yeah, I'm kind of mad because this generation would have made the most sense for him to win, especially if Alola doesn't have gyms. Essentially, that just means Alola, in terms of a context of a region, is going to be like a fucking Orange Islands 2.0 series. Because realistically, what I thought they would do, because it would have made the most sense, is because Alola doesn't seem to have gyms, it would make sense to have Ash become the champion of Kalos and then go to Alola to help with the creation of gyms for Alola. That would have made the most sense. But once again, that's called a progressing story. And as we've seen, they don't want to progress Ash's story. That was kind of proven to be true in Sinnoh, where they reset his ass. They reset him thoroughly in Sinnoh. And he had to relearn, and they keep doing that. That's been a rule now, that he resets in every generation. None of that shit carries over. And some of you might be asking, well, that's not true. It's like, yes, it is. They reset him in Sinnoh, and then they reset him again in Unova, and then they reset him again in fucking Kalos. They keep the Pokemon Company has no intention of actually making a consistent canon. That was proven 3 generations ago. Now, was there hope for them to change? Yeah, but realistically, it's not too surprising that they decided not to. It's disappointing, but it's not really surprising. So people sitting here getting mad at Ash's loss. Look, I get it, you're angry, but half of you didn't care to begin with. Half of you only care because you watched the first season and you saw how good the animation has been this particular region, and then you all of a sudden give a fuck about Ash winning a league or not. Because let's be real here. Even if Ash had won, the running joke with Pokemon would have turned into Ash never winning the league to Ash not until very recently winning the league. It's like, oh, it took him like 6 generations and over like 12 or 15 seasons to win the league. The gag wouldn't have changed. People they wouldn't have changed enough for it to really make a difference. And that's kind of the whole thing. It's like, this is the best treatment. This is probably his best treatment in the league, next to fucking, I don't know if I would say Johto was a better treatment, because as I said, I got to watch the league. But as far as him losing in the final match, this has probably been some of his best treatment in the league, because it wasn't anything cheap. The only thing cheap that I've seen that happens in this fight is the bullshit with Goodra, which, if anything, I just thought that was an antithesis for how poorly written Goodra was. The Goodra shit was so fucking rushed, and it was so thrown in that it just felt irrelevant as fuck. And it's the same rule. You notice, depending on how good his team is in a generation dictates whether or not he gets far in the league, I've noticed. If his team is too fucking good, he's going to curb stomp the shit out of the league and then get wrecked on some really ridiculous shit. If his team is kind of like mediocre looking, then he'll do okay. It's like a more tolerable league as a whole, I've noticed. But like, because his 2 best teams in terms of generation shit is Gen 4 and Gen 6. 6? Yeah, Gen 4 and Gen 6. And he gets fucked over in both of those generations. Gen 4 getting completely curb stomped by 2 fucking legendaries, and in Gen 6 getting laid out by a Mega Evolution. Which is better than getting an Ash pulled on Ash, or getting beaten by gimmicky ass Meowth, or getting beaten by a new Pokemon from a region he's never visited before, or getting beaten because his fucking Charizard won't listen to him. Ash has never had great luck in the leagues. They've only I wouldn't even say they've recently fixed that problem. He's always had shitty luck in leagues. It's just that it's always varied depending on the region. But I'll still say this is probably one of the better representations. At least they let him have a full, legit fight. There was no gimmicks. There was no bull. He had a legit fight. He went in there and he did his very best. I know a lot of people are salty because of how late region this is, but realistically, when I saw him lose, I was like, look, I don't like the fact that Ash is losing. I will never like that but honestly, when I look at X and Y as a whole, this is not a region I want. If there was a region I wanted him to win, it would have been Gen 5. It would have been Gen 3 or Gen 5. Or I could have even took Gen 4, to be real with you. I could have took Gen 3 to 5. Gen 6 is not that fucking region where I'm going to take that win and be like, yeah, that was cool. Because there were other regions I would have preferred him to win in. I'm not expecting him to win. It was the thought process I had near the end of Best Wishes. Ash won't win until the series ends. When the series ends, he should, and that's if they want to do it. Then they may just have him a character who's perpetually never going to win. Fuck you, phone. This phone's gonna go off because people like to message me. It's fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid. So it's like, am I salty? Half and half. I'm disappointed that he lost. But overall, it's not a big shock. And hey, at least you did him a courtesy this time. Let him lose to a Mega Evolution. Let his Greninja be on some God tier shit. Gave us a cool ass fight with legit ass animation. If he's gonna take an L, let him take the L in the most dignified way possible. And hopefully, when it comes to the future of Pokemon in the league, he will take L's in the same manner. Don't do what you did in Gen 5 ever again. Richie would have been the only character I would have tolerated that from, and that's essentially what ended up happening. And you still prove that Ash was an incompetent trainer. That's why people were cool with him losing in Kanto, because he damn sure wasn't ready. Kanto was luck. Kanto was so poorly written in terms of gym matches and shit. I was not mad when he lost in Kanto. I was kind of like, I was okay with him losing in Johto. Hoenn was kind of bullshit, and then after that it just became fucking stupid, where he got curb stomped in Sinnoh. He got so disrespected in fucking Unova, and then I'm like, alright, look, I can take that L, but I would kind of like him to win in a good series. Bro, all the X and Y shade I'm throwing right now is ridiculous. People, I don't give a fuck what anyone tells you. X and Y is not the best. I wouldn't even say top 3. I probably would say no. I wouldn't say top. I think Sinnoh is better than X and Y at this point. Bro, people gonna dick ride the shit out of the X and Y. But I bet you that'll stop now since he lost the league. Ooh, this is how you can tell a real Pokemon fan in terms of the anime or not. A motherfucker who will drop this series because Ash lost the league. I bet you $5. All the people that made reaction videos that don't normally talk about Pokemon will not talk about Pokemon again because he fucking lost the league. I told you, fans and gamers are fickle as fuck. Send me your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.